So welcome back to Street Switch Photography. This is the Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London, grooming gang cover-up. Let's roll the intro, and I apologise for the previous live, as I didn't have the microphone connected because I'm a knobhead, but there we go, here we go. So yes, this is the Sadiq Khan grooming gang cover-up in London. The Mayor of London covering up grooming gangs because he's a Muslim. We've got a Pakistani grooming gang pandemic in Great Britain. The numbers are absolute right, and it seems to favour taxi drivers and things like that. I believe Mark Rowley, the police commissioner, is involved as well, which would not surprise me one single bit. Let's listen to what GB News has got to say about it. Patrick Crisis is going to be doing this report on it, and he always does an excellent job. Let's listen.
Sadiq Khan stands accused of covering up rape gang cases in London. The allegation is this, that Sadiq Khan read reports of young girls being raped in hotels by groups of men, as well as other horrific cases, and then publicly denied there were any grooming gangs in the capital. The reports of alleged rape gangs between 2016 and 2025 involving 6 potential victims at least. These include the case of a 15-year-old girl who was raped by several men before going missing for 4 days. She was eventually found with a 21-year-old man. Another case involved a 13-year-old girl deemed to be high risk. Police officers identified 2 men that were suspected of sexually exploiting her. There was a report in November 2016. 2 victims, one of whom was a 16-year-old, claimed to have been raped numerous times over a 3-year period by a group of men in London who then threatened to harm her and her family.
Now, what they were basically doing is they were doing things to these women, these young girls, by taking them to hotels, drugging them up, getting them drunk and everything else, and then telling them if you ever tell anybody, you'll be harmed and your family will be harmed. This is grooming gangs in Greater London, of which Sadiq Khan actually denied, and Mark Rowley denied, that there were any such thing as grooming gangs in Greater London. It's absolutely fucking disgusting, and they've been found out. He has got no option but to quit after this shit show.
The girl was aged just 13. She went missing overnight and was reported to police as being unsafe and in a room with 3 men.
If you need full dentures but can't deal with the endless expensive dentist visits, you need to see this. I used to hide my mouth.
The Daily Mail claims that Sadiq Khan actually provided formal statements in response to each of these reports, dating back as far as 2016. He described one as, quotes, deeply troubling. Sadiq Khan is on record saying there are, quotes, no reports and no indication of Rochdale or Rotherham-style grooming gangs.
Yet he read 6 of the witness statements actually involved in the cases of these Pakistani grooming gangs, hence the national inquiry, and still says there is no problem. This is the cleansing of Great Britain. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. You can understand why people like Tommy Robinson have mentioned the rape of Britain.
In London. That claim now looks highly questionable, especially when you look at this from our national reporter Charlie Peters. It shows an organised network of girls being trafficked for sexual abuse into London from places like Oxford and Bradford. In fact, the witness testimony from one victim and survivor is that she was repeatedly brutally raped by Pakistani men and sent to London's Paddington Station to be raped in numerous different properties. The details of that case have been publicly available since 2013.
2013. So I'm just wondering, 2013, who was Mayor of London in 2013, and would Boris Johnson have had anything or knew anything about it and didn't do anything? Through fear of being called racist. And everybody keeps forgetting Islam is not a race, it's a fucking religion.
How can Sadiq Khan claim that he was not aware of things like that? And he makes his comments here all the more shameful.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just listen to what this twat actually says, Sadiq Khan. Probably one of the most evil men in Great Britain next to Keir Starmer and Mark Rowley.
What's a misunderstanding? What does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that.
She means Pakistani grooming gangs, Pakistani rape gangs, Pakistani illegal nonsense, mate. That's what she means.
These gangs of people that are grooming young girls for sex. Do we actually...
Nonsense. Let's say it as it is. Fucking nonsense. Paedophiles. Nonsense. Pakistani paedophile nonsense. That's what they are.
We have those in London.
Today, I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If you could spell it out, I can answer.
Ridiculous. A fully costed grooming gang inquiry into London was actually voted down by Sadiq Khan's Labour, the Greens.
Just going to stop the video and say hello to my brother, Aaron. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
And the Liberal Democrats. And today, 2 victims and survivors have resigned from the National Grooming Gang Inquiry Board. Why? Well, in part because it looks like they want to put either police or social workers in charge of it. The very group...
Because if the government are running the national inquiry, they can actually cover more up, can't they, and not get the full amount of actual Pakistani grooming gangs out there. That's why they're leaving, that's why they've quit. And they're, basically the other people won't quit and everything else because they're scared of being called racist, and I thought Islam was a religion, not a race. It's absolutely ridiculous.
...of people who are implicated in the cover-up. And those survivors are concerned...
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for agreeing.
...that broadening the scope of the inquiry will now shift the focus away from the Pakistani Muslim aspect of the rape gangs. Sadiq Khan strongly denies that he's part of a cover-up.
Because he's part of the grooming gangs, mate. That's why I think. Now, that may be conspiracy, but that's what I think, him and Mark Rowley. I mean, let's be honest, you look at Mark Rowley and think, I wouldn't let my kid near him. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think. He looks like fucking Gollum, for God's sake.
He is or not, is very much a matter for his conscience, isn't it?
I've just been told to give a shout out to Jess, Connor, Mason, Max, Alfie, Aaron, Sarah. There you go, you're all involved now.
But what seems crystal clear to me is this. People in positions of power, right across the board, are trying to do everything they can to stop the public from knowing how many Pakistani Muslim men raped and abused young white girls.
Thousands, up to 250 different towns and cities across Great Britain have had this problem. And they still deny anything's wrong. And we let them into the country. Maybe they came on small boats and things like that, because there's been a number of them that have happened since these hotels have been opened. And it's being seen all across Great Britain now. And nobody seems to be doing fuck all about it. And it's annoying. And they wonder why families like me, I've got a family, you worry about your kids. You worry absolutely sick about your bleeding kids. And no one's got the balls to actually say anything about it. Everybody seems to have gone yellow and spineless in Great Britain. Yes, I know people are waking up, and I know people actually sort of have cottoned on to exactly what it is that's happening. But again, with no cohesive discourse, people being led up the primrose path, hoodwinking, and actual cover-ups, and they are all living in this echo chamber. It's absolutely disgusting. They need to get their head out their arses and actually do something about it. Sack the Commissioner of London, Mark Rowley. Get rid of the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, because he's a Gollum-looking motherfucker anyway. And actually get this right, get the national inquiry right. We know Reform are going to win the next election. I think they should be doing something about this as well, but I'm always worried that the Tories are taking over Reform, and I will be keeping my eye on that, and if that does happen, I will be doing videos on it. Make no mistake about it, I'll be doing videos on it.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money...
Hello to Lee. Let me just get past this ad that's on here. He goes over to the chair and speaks to some people.
Carol, lots to go out there, and I will just say very shortly we're going to talk to the journalist that kind of blew the lid off the alleged Sadiq Khan grooming gang cover-up. But just focusing on what...
Alleged? You telling me he didn't know what was happening? It's not... I wouldn't say it was alleged, but we have to say that because of political correctness, don't we?
What some of the victims and survivors have said today, that they believe that there is an attempt to try to take the focus off the Pakistani Muslim aspects of this.
You know, Patrick, this
through
happened
fear of being
right
called
at the beginning
racist.
when the Rochdale and Rotherham gangs were first exposed. And we were told, as a reporter, and I was reporting on them at the time, as a reporter, we were told not to say it was Pakistani Muslim gangs. We were told to just say it was sex gangs. And it wasn't until
There's also a problem with Eritrean gangs as well.
I think it was the Daily Mail was the first paper to just print headshots of all of the people who'd been convicted. And funnily enough, they were all Pakistani Muslims. So that made it easier.
Maybe the problem isn't just like Pakistani Muslims. Maybe it's just Muslims. Extremist Muslims. Because their prophet Muhammad thinks it's okay to marry a 9-year-old girl called Aisha and have sexual relations with that child. And what's good enough for Muhammad? Just saying.
For us all to then report. So yeah, it has always been the case that they have tried to cover up this aspect of it, and it must not be covered up because that's what this is all about. And I saw the young lady that you were interviewing before there saying that it's impossible that Khan would not have known about this. 4 reports he saw and responded to. And you remember there was a guy, a top cop called John Wedger, who brought up 52 instances of child abuse. He was talking about these girls being taken to hotels, being swapped for rocks of crack cocaine, being sold at 2,000.
Now, where does most of the crack cocaine come from and most of the heroin come from into Great Britain? Let me have a think. Would that be Afghanistan? And we've got these men coming over from Afghanistan on rubber dinghies, being able to afford £3,000 a pop for a rubber dinghy. Pop, no pun intended. There's a joke there somewhere. Now, these are being trafficked into Great Britain. They're giving these drugs to young children and, underage children. And then they wonder why we've got this fucking problem. You import the third world, you're going to get the third world. That is just fact. Complete and utter fact.
£1,000 a time in top-end Arab restaurants in London. He gave all this stuff to the cops, the police at the time, and he was told to bury it. He was told if he carried on with it, he would lose his job, his family, his home, everything. So the cops are still trying to cover it up.
Just look. If this
I
had
think
been
there's
released
way
years
more
ago,
involved.
Plumbers might have been out of jobs by now. In our home, no matter which drink.
Social service.
I personally think there's way more involved. I think it goes right down to government level. Keir Starmer isn't exactly innocent when it comes to, let's just say, young boys, is he? I mean, just look at Jimmy Savile and things like that. He protected him when he was a paedophile, didn't he? I think he knew more about that than the case and everything, but human rights lawyer. And then there was the 2 Ukrainian model boys that he was smashing the back doors in on, tongue punching the old fart box off them. But there you go.
Are still trying to cover it up. And Sadiq Khan, that bit of film you just saw at the London Assembly is shameful that a mayor of London can pretend he doesn't know what a grooming gang is.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Let's point out this guy, Sadiq Khan.
He doesn't know what a fucking woman or a man is. He thinks a woman can have a cock. Let's get real. So does bleeding Keir Starmer.
Has 2 young daughters. Has the guy got no conscience, no shame? It's appalling. Should be got rid of.
Jay, just on the broader issue of Sir Keir Starmer was dragged kicking and screaming into a national grooming gang inquiry, and then it's emerged now that the 2 potential chairs of that, one's a police officer and one used to work in the social sector, 2 areas that need to be urgently investigated. It's like, let you mark your own homework in an extent, isn't it? And
when we set Labour on to actually do this national inquiry, we already knew that they weren't going to do it properly until its full effect, so they were going to be trying to hide certain bits of information to cover their own backs. That's what they do. And with Keir Starmer, I mean, come on, you can't trust a word of that pathological lying twat, can you? Let's be honest about it.
That the victims and survivors were told to send pre-vetted questions to these people.
Yeah. And when he says victims and survivors, I think being a paedophile, in my opinion, now people might disagree with me here, but I think that is worse than murder, because that young child has then got to live with that torture for the rest of their fucking lives. These people that do this, should they bring back the death penalty? Because I think it's worse than murder. That's my opinion.
And then on top of that, they are actively trying to broaden the remit so it is not an inquiry into Pakistani rape gangs.
Well, I thought
that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Goddard, the young woman you had on who spoke very, very movingly about both her experience having been exploited and being a survivor of these rape gangs, but also about her experience really being gagged. I just thought it was extraordinary. The first thing they made them do is sign this gagging clause and then sort of said to them, right, OK, you can choose from two potential chairmen of the inquiry. One's a police officer, someone who's an organisation, a group of people who deeply let you...
One's a police officer and one's the Mayor of London. Just take that in for a second.
...you down as a victim, or a social worker, another organisation and group of people who've deeply let you down. For those two poor women who've resigned today, it's almost like re-victim.
Through fear of being called racist or fascist. That's the only reason they've resigned, because they know that Labour aren't going to do the proper job when it comes to the Pakistani grooming gangs. It really pisses me off. It makes my piss boil.
It's really, really cruel. And what I'd say about this, it also has the sort of the smell of really disgraceful other government cover-ups, like the Horizon scandal with the post office, with this...
Keir Starmer and his two Ukrainian boyfriends, and Keir Starmer and the Jimmy Savile saga, yeah.
Sub-postmasters, some of whom were sent to prison. It is just the
Southport cover-up.
Establishment scrabbling as fast as it can to sort of brush...
I mean, look at the man. Look at him. He's about 4 foot fuck all.
Over its tracks so people can't see what they knew and when. And as I say, that young woman you had on, so brave, and I'm so pleased that you gave her the airtime to talk to GB News viewers tonight.
So I'm going to call that the end of the video, people, because that actually makes me so angry watching stuff like this. I see it on YouTube all the time. There's always reels on Facebook of these men grooming children. There's whole pages on Facebook, and what they do is they go round showing the people over in Calais, here's what you could have if you move over to Manchester and get put in a hotel. Young girls out on the streets at 16 years old wearing short dresses and things like that, and that actually gets them going to wanting to come to Great Britain. And that is one of the things that I'm going to be bringing up in a future video. This has been Street Switch Photography. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Go and hit the notification bell, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Roll the intro.